the requirements to reach that dream are completely different from what they're actually doing on a day-to-day basis and what they see in their mind.
I've been grinding since a youngin', I don't know no other ways. I've been ballin' for the moment, but can't sight the better days. You fell off and now you lost the shit that you was just a phase. I became this on my own, no, this is not how I was raised.
So that is where it's important. That's why I wanted to hit on some of this stuff today is to kind of get somebody to understand the pump fake and the real shot. And as far as the players, those kids, I think that the best thing you could do is, and this is hard to speak to a young kid about this stuff, but you got to try. At least you did your job. I think it's just about like being happy and loving basketball. Like actually getting on a court or getting in a weight room or on a track, like whatever it is, it's just literally loving getting up and trying to do that every day, trying to just be better at it every day. And that's what I've tried to encompass in making REL Academy, like this operation. I've tried to make this a platform that is just that, for kids who do love that, for kids who want to do that, they can come here and do it. So if it's not rooted in that, if you don't just absolutely love dribbling the basketball, you're already starting on the wrong foot. But if you do, all of the noise that you see is going to be that. It's just going to be noise. And you're going to be as childish as you may be as time goes along with paying attention to the noise, but you're never going to lose the sight of the real goal, of the real process, which is just getting up and dribbling that ball every day. So if you find yourself, these are big things that I always see pop up. Like if you find yourself constantly leaving teams, constantly looking for new coaches, constantly looking for new trainers, constantly looking for new athletic people to work on your body, constantly looking for new groups of people to play pickup with. Like if you're always jumping from thing to thing and talking about how the last thing didn't work, you probably are starting to have a problem. That doesn't mean that you don't love the game. You could love the game and do those things, absolutely. But where you can get caught in that warp, where you can get caught in that pump fake, is that you keep seeing the bullshit that gets posted online. You keep just seeing things that look cool. Like what we do here, this shit is not cool. Like this REL Academy operation, this is not cool. This is basketball. Like this is just getting in the mud and working. It looks cool when we post it. It looks cool when we edit the videos up. It looks cool how we decide to show one kid or the other, but that's just to put good content out there. But what we understand is, this is why I do this too. We don't just do that. We also like for accounts or pages that you look at and it's only highlights, you just got to understand that it got to go in that highlight category. It has to go in the entertainment category. It's no different than scrolling through your phone and watching funny videos just to laugh and send them to your buddy. It's no different than that. But that's why I do this too. That's why we do a lot of information, put out a lot of informational videos, because at the root of basketball and just getting up and loving it, we need info. We need actual shit that's gonna help us progress. So when you get caught in only looking at that other small percentage of it, that's what you become. You become that kid. You become the kid who only keeps looking for that. You never look for info. You never look for real coaching. You never look for someone to get on you. You never look for someone to get you out of your comfort zone. You only look for the posing for the picture. You only look for getting to put the goofy ass layup up and post that online. You never get to like what it takes to actually win a game. And in return, what it takes to reach your dream, because that's what it is. Like the ugly shit, like I said, what we do here at REL, it's not glamorous. It's not really fun, it's work. And that's what it takes to reach that ultimate goal, is to actually work. And so that's kind of the player standpoint. I just go back to that original point, just love the game. Just love the game. And if you don't reach a dream, which I myself, again, I played Division III basketball. I played Division III ball. I played Division II first when I came out of high school, but I played Division III basketball, and that's another thing that's mostly. by the way, I'm no better than anybody else. Like, I was an idiot. I was a fool as a kid the same way. I thought the same stuff. I looked down on Division II and Division III. You know, that's what immature kids do. And that's why ultimately I did play Division III and not reach my goal. It wasn't that I didn't have the talent or ability to play higher level basketball. I was just too stupid. And so we're trying to save kids from being too stupid who do have the ability, but their mind is not in the right place to make it happen. But I played Division III basketball. So if I just look at it in that small percentage light, I failed, right? I didn't reach the dream. But as I got older and did mature a little bit, I stopped looking at it in that light, and now I'm extremely successful in basketball without even playing. So it's about loving the game. I don't play anymore, but I genuinely love getting up every day and trying to figure out how we're gonna make kids better, how we're gonna make the academy better, how I'm going to, in turn, run a business. All of that shit is exciting. I love getting up and doing it every day. Whether this business becomes the biggest basketball business to ever be, or whether it trickles along, I will continue to love the process, just getting up every day trying to do it. And that is where you have to be as a player. You have to just get up and love trying to do it. So then, regardless where you end up, regardless if we become the best basketball business of all time, regardless if you become the best basketball player of all time, regardless what level you play at, you will be happy with it and be successful within it. So from the player standpoint, I can't emphasize enough, being happy playing basketball should be your main goal. The parent standpoint is a whole nother situation. The parent standpoint will usually dictate how that kid is going to feel. So if that kid is going to have the right mindset or the wrong mindset, the parent has huge influence over it. Regardless, I understand, you can do everything possible to try to be a great parent, try to instill the right things in your kids, try to be a great sports parent, and your kid is still a goofball and goes off and does some stupid shit, right? I get that part. But I've been doing this since 2013. I've seen far too many times where this is a popular trend right here. A kid is pretty good. Let's say he's a sixth grader, and he's definitely in the top one or two, of the teams he plays on. Maybe even in the area, right? He's a top 10 kid in his kind of region or local area. And the kid already thinks he's really good. And usually when that happens, when the parent sees that their kid is young and doing well, the parent gets delusional and starts looking at everything the wrong way themselves. And it's not that they mean to. Of course, every parent means well for their kid. But we're humans and we got a lot of flaws, So, and one of those flaws is being delusional about your children. And so what happens is those parents will actually be the ones with that warped mentality who actually dictate the kid going to a million different teams and working out with a million different people and always pointing a finger at the last one. Like that, it starts with the parent usually. And then so what it does for that kid is just make the kid regurgitate it and think the same way. And as the kid gets older, that becomes stronger and stronger and stronger because the pressure becomes more from the parent, because the pressure starts to see the window close. And it's like, man, he was really good in sixth grade. We're now about to go into ninth grade and he's kind of looking, I don't want to say it out loud, but he's kind of looking average now. And so as that pressure builds, it rubs off on the child too. And so the child becomes more delusional, more in denial, more blaming coaches. Like, this is the cycle. I've seen it too many times. And so I think from a parent standpoint, you can fall deeper into the hole of mess in the basketball culture. You can fall deeper in there than your kids can because you actually usually make the decisions. You're the ones who decide where you're going to drive them, and your kid might be like, hey, I want to play on this team. And your kid might want to play on this team for a reason that has nothing to do with his actual basketball development. And you have the power to just say no, but you're like, you know what? I'll do it. We'll get in the car and go drive wherever, and he can play on this dumbass team. So you have the power to knock that kid down where he's supposed to be and get him to understand what's right and wrong or what's best for him. But like I said, when your delusion goes as well, now there's nothing there to kind of even this out and balance this out. And again, I'm going to go back to my original point. That sixth grader who is really good has a goal and a dream to be here. But all of those things that I just described and discussed, that makes them not get there. It makes them not get there. And so a point of where we are like in society right now, basically it's like either you're really cool or you're not. There's like no in between. Nobody ever talks about just being maybe not so popular, maybe not playing Division I, but still being the coolest person around. Like that, nobody talks about that. So nowadays, when when that sixth grader is up here in the cool category, and then somehow falls off way down here, the impact on their brain is huge because of what the culture that they live in, what they see every day, how that stuff is viewed. It's viewed in a very negative light amongst their peers. Especially in their space of whatever they're in, whether it's basketball, football, art, whatever it is, it's like very degrading. It's a blow. It's a big mental blow, and that mental blow is coming not because they failed. Remember, I told you I failed, right? I was up here. I was always like the best. Had these high goals and dreams, and it fell all the way down here on paper, basketball wise. But I knew that never defined what I was out here trying to do. And for me, it didn't matter what it was going to be. It was just getting up every day and getting after it. So when your kid stops, and when you as the parent or your kid stops seeing that it's just about getting up every day and being the best you can possibly be at it, and you start only looking at these results because someone told you these results are what you want to do. Remember, I just said somebody else told you, meaning like things that you consume every day, stuff that you look at. That told you that, hey, if this kid doesn't end up way up here, you know, he's a failure, or he's gonna be they're gonna be in his comments talking about, oh, you used to be this, that, and the third. And again, that's another piece that I'm gonna try to hit on if I don't forget is when kids are hyped up when they're young, you know, now you said you got a target on your back. You set a big standard for yourself, but you're just a child, and so. You don't understand the ramifications of the things that come with that. So when you don't end up being that person that everybody thought you were gonna be, you don't know how to take it, and that is the scariest part about it. That's why I think these talks, these conversations about what is really success. Is it playing Division I basketball? Is it being ranked? Is it getting the most views on your video? Like, what is it? How do you look at success? And those three things I just named, which are just only three, I think that those are like the majority of how people look at it, how an 11-year-old looks at it, when that's not the case at all. It should really, your success should be measured on your happiness to get up and get after it every day. And then one day, if it's basketball, that shit's gonna end. It's over. It's done. Your career is gonna stop at some point. And so if you don't have that rooted in your bones of just getting up and trying to be the best every day, the next shit that you go to, and you don't have that in you, you're not gonna be excited about it. Whatever job, whatever you gotta do next, when that shit is over, when the fun of your basketball is over, you don't have the DNA at that point to keep moving. So, you know, and as you get older and become an adult, you start to have all types of problems, and they're not just mental anymore. They're physical, with your body, with your finances, with your relationships. All of that shit keeps going. And so when we only look at this small percentage that is actually irrelevant, it's just a narrative, right? It's just a narrative that you need to do this, that, or the third to be successful. That's a narrative. That's your opinion. And so as that opinion and narrative is pushed more and more and shoved down kids' throats, you know, it becomes real. It becomes fact. And in their mind, they're like, yes, I do have to do this in order to be successful. I do have to do this in order to be, you know, somebody that people look up to, or whatever, however they view their metric of success. And like I said, it's usually just not true. And so I take this to coaches. I think in this, because of all these things put together, it's real complex. It's honestly hard for me to even like put into words, but coaches feel all of these things too. They feel this chain reaction of things. And now it makes a coach have to worry more about their own title, their reputation, their wins, their salary. Like, it makes everything is heightened. Even now adults feel this. They feel like I need to be this, that, and the third in order to be successful. And when you look at, think about what sports are, right? If you're a basketball coach, you can play, the games can go on. The league can happen if you don't coach the games. Because you don't fucking play. You're not a player. You don't play. Basketball needs players. it doesn't need coaches just to physically exist. Everybody understands that. So, but what happens is people get that wrong, and coaches have such an ego and make it about them that they flip the script the other way. You know, a lot of coaches will make you feel like without them it can't happen. Without them you can't win. Without them you can't get recruited. Without them you can't be shit. Without them you can't score. Like all of these things, they now become a reality. Like I said, that's just a narrative. It's a narrative that the coach is more important than the player. But if you keep pushing that narrative, or that narrative keeps getting shoved down people's throat, it becomes a fact. But so I think if you look at, again, I hate using the 1%, but it's easy to at least go to that. That's what people are going to listen to the most. Then you divvy it down from there and figure out where it falls in your life and your situation. But I'm just going to use college basketball, NCAA ball that everybody watches. Those coaches now are pretty much on, everything is like a 1-year deal. It's a 1-year deal with a player because of the transfer and NIL rules that have been put out. It's a 1-year deal with the coaches because of those two things, but also other factors like the sensitivity of our society and not being able to mess up, and all the things that go into this, that go in our current climate of culture. Everything is a 1-year deal. You can lose it like that. And so when you give people such a short leash, both player, parent, and coaches, it makes everybody go to extremes and kind of be irrational at times and have more of a all about me, fuck you, like you have to lose for me to win type of mentality. And so that gives coaches a lot of unbalanced power as well. It makes them care more about winning and their reputation and the politics of their game than actually doing what coaching is about. I've never looked up the word coach, but I assume if you look it up, Google's probably going to tell you something like helping players play better. It's got to be something like that. So a coach should really first, just like I said, the player needs to get up and love it every day. The coach needs to get up and love it every day. Love what? Love trying to figure out how to coach, how to make a player play better. And as far as how this affects, how their current mindset affects the youth, what's coming up, because right, everything I'm saying right now is like showing a future, right? So if this is what we're doing currently, then we're going to look like this in the future. Well, right now, if the narratives keep getting followed that I just put out there, remember, coaching is making kids better. It's not boosting your win column. That's not what it is. It's making players play better. Every single kid on your roster can get better and become a better individual, and you still don't win a championship. Those two things can both be true, just like in the NBA. It's just narratives put out by media. You could be a Hall of Fame player, have an amazing career, make amazing relationships, all of that, and still not win a championship. That is true. But if you just listen to narratives, it's if you don't win a championship, then you're just regular. These are the things that could put out. So when those narratives keep getting shoveled down people's throats, bring it all the way down to the current youth who's going to be coming up. If that's all that they think about, then our future is going to look, I don't know what it's going to look like exactly, but it's going to look very different than what basketball was set out to be in the first place. The coach is going to be very different from what it was meant to be in the first place. The player is going to be different. The parent, all of this shit. So basketball could keep going in this weird direction, and then we have some weird my opinion is that basketball won't even really be a team sport anymore. Everything will be individualized. No games are really real. It's more branding. That's what it'll be. Basketball will kind of just be another form to brand yourself, and mostly on social media. And the coolest videos will be the coolest brands or whatever. It's gonna be something like that. There's gonna be more leagues popping up. You'll jump around league to league. There won't even really be a team. You kind of just play wherever you play. Like, this is probably where we're heading if all of these narratives keep getting pushed, because I believe narratives turn into facts. Regardless to what you say. If someone says you're an asshole, but you're actually a really nice guy and they don't know you, but a million other people put out that you're an asshole on the internet, you're an asshole now, because that's what everybody says when they bring your name up. Whether you're actually that or not, a fact isn't really what's a fact anymore. A fact is just whatever we say the fuck it is, right? So do aliens exist? Do they not? Whatever people keep saying is going to be what it is. So, and it's no different in basketball. And so if we keep, I like the example of Russell Westbrook, you know, and think about this, anywhere else, any basketball platform, if a player averages a triple-double for a season, no one has ever told anyone in the history of basketball that a person that averages a triple-double could possibly be bad for a team. That's never been a thing, ever. But again, once a narrative is pushed, that somehow this triple-double machine could be bad for a team, all of a sudden, he's actually bad for a team. And not in performance, I'm talking about in our perception. Everybody would look at him. If you're a 12-year-old kid right now, 2 years ago you were only 10. It's gonna be hard for you to even grasp a lot of things at 10 years old. If you're 12, you probably don't even remember a whole lot about how you thought at 12 years old, because that's a big jump. So the last 2 years, all you've ever heard if you watch basketball media is that Russell Westbrook is a bad player. That's all you've ever heard. So in your mind, if you're 12 right now, when people bring up Westbrook to you, you'll say something like, oh, he sucks. Yeah, that's really what you think. Regardless of what the facts are, that's what you think. So that concept right there of Russell Westbrook as a player and how a kid will look at him is the same concept you could look at when it comes to AAU basketball or NIL or anything that is hot takes and popular stuff in current culture. It's usually pushed by just what you've been told. And if you're a kid, you know no better. You damn sure don't research. You don't fact check. So whatever you're going to be told is how you're going to grow up with that mindset. And as kids continue to have weird mindsets, and here, it's important to bring this up. All of these narratives, everything that I've said since I've been talking, every narrative is backed by one thing: the ability for an adult to make money. And I'll tell you, I'll say all the time, there's nothing wrong with people making money at all. But when somebody tells you you need to buy this medicine or take this medicine and they make money if you take it, I have to look at it a little different. It doesn't mean they're wrong. They could be 100% right. But I got to dig a little deeper before I just take their word for it and take that medicine. And so it's when you're seeing how kids are being, how their brain's being warped from how they look at basketball, you have to be able to somebody's got to fact check things to make sure what they see and what they're being told and what they believe is actually the best path for them, is actually a fact. I don't know. Again, I'm not here to judge what's good and bad. I'm just saying the current climate that we are in for what's fact and what's fiction about youth sports, there may be a huge change really soon if all these narratives keep going. And at that point, then it's sad to me personally, because I grew up where it was a little different. If there were no more teams anymore and basketball wasn't necessarily a team sport, that'd be dramatically different from how I grew up playing it, right? So you hate to see that. Everybody hates to see things completely leave all they ever knew. But I do think it's a real conversation to have. And back to the money thing, people only would say that Russell Westbrook is a bad player because it's going to drive a lot of eyeballs. When you say a triple-double player is a bad player, a lot of people are going to have something to say about it. When a lot of people have something to say about what you said, you have the opportunity to make money and build a brand. And that's great for you, but people out there should also know and understand that you only said that because you knew you had a chance to push yourself forward. So if you're a 12-year-old kid and you grasp any of this that I've said, don't forget what you hear, what you see is being driven by somebody who's going to make money off of it. So be careful about just accepting it. You may have been told some bullshit just because somebody else was going to advance themselves. And by you taking that bullshit, you just declined yourself. You took a step backwards to help that person who told you the bullshit take steps forward. So you just have to be careful about it. And what I will say about, this is why I know that most of this is narratives and just bullshit. Because I've been to high-level Division I practices. I've been to numerous. I speak to high-level Division I coaches constantly. And most of the things that I say, you know, when if you guys, anybody's watching me on social media, if I'm saying something about college ball, it's because I heard it directly from the horse's mouth. I heard it directly from numerous coaches. And one thing about college basketball and coaching right now is they're doing the same shit that they were doing years and years and years ago. Regardless of what gets the most clicks on social media, regardless of what the coolest camps are, regardless of who the coolest train, like fuck all of that shit. Those coaches don't care about any of that. They don't care about me and the program I have going on. They don't care about you and how many comments you got on your last video. Like, none of that matters. What matters is, how do we win games? And when you show up to practice, you see them doing things that win games. What is that? That's going over defenses, making sure we're closing out the right way, talking on both ends, detailing our offense. Like, that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. So imagine, I'm gonna keep saying a 12-year-old just because it's easy. If you're a 12-year-old and you never think about some of those things I just said that they're doing in practice, then how do you think you're ever gonna get to that level? How's that possible? You cannot allow a narrative to throw you off your path of where you're trying to go. And you know, like I said, at REL, it's just about trying to do everything we can and do our part for the kids that show up here to not just sit here and preach, but actually put in practice, put in actual basketball structure, the things that do matter. And if you don't have that opportunity to be here or somewhere else that does, then the least you can do is educate yourself on basketball games, how they're actually won, basketball players, how they actually become good players. You can do that. Because just as much garbage as there is out there on social media, there's a whole lot of great too. There's a whole lot of great. So, you know, I could go into a lot of depths of these things, but I think the concept, the big takeaway that I want people to have is that just because you see it and hear it doesn't mean it is always what it actually is. And it would be a shame if we allow things to go there just for people throwing out bullshit to see if it's stuck to advance themselves while holding back a whole bunch of other people. And those people who get held back are actually the youth. And that's going to be the future. The youth is going to be the future. So, you know, basketball in general is in a good spot, but it definitely could take a turn that would change it dramatically. And I think that's a turn that wouldn't make the sport necessarily better or wouldn't help the actual lives of the individuals involved with it. I think it would make things a little bit tougher. Hope you guys got something out of it. RELacademy.com if you're interested in seeing what we have to offer, if you're anywhere in the local area in Pittsburgh and can get here. But follow our social media pages and you'll be able to hear these little tidbits of things that I think are important, and hopefully it helps somebody.